Well, I've been quiet for a few days, not because I'm done telling my story, but because telling it takes everything I've got and I needed a little bit of a break. These aren't just memories, they're wounds I'm ripping open for a reason, so someone else knows they're not alone. So someone else can say, wow, that was me too. I've done volunteer work at shelters, and there are a lot of women that are victims of rape, sexual assault, domestic violence, and I'm trying to shed light as someone who's healed, although the journey was very long. By this point in my story, I was still married, but the trauma bond was full blown. And let me tell you, PTSD doesn't always look like panic attacks and nightmares. Sometimes it looks like ambition, like stacking degrees and accolades just to feel worthy. Yes, I got accepted to medical school, and I turned it down. Why? Fear. My husband gave me the talk about how much he would feel abandoned. So I took the safer path. I went on to pursue an MBA. Not because it was easier, but because standing up for myself wasn't something I knew how to do. So I just kept delaying it. I buried myself in work, but no accomplishment could cover the truth that I had no self-esteem, that I let my attackers' violence control me and shape my life, that I let my husband walk all over me. No degree was going to fix that. On the advice of a therapist, I wrote a letter to my attacker. I didn't mail it. It was to get it all out. And then I burned it in the fireplace. Interesting thing happened. That night, after yet another argument with my husband, I slept alone, truly alone, for the first time in 20 years. And instead of fear, I felt peace. That was the moment I started reclaiming my power. But healing, it changes you. Not everyone in your life will like the changes. Well, especially not my husband. He didn't like my new voice. He liked the old subservient me. He didn't like my boundaries. He didn't like that I was no longer tolerating disrespect. And he didn't know how to handle it. We argued a lot. Then he assaulted me. I honestly never thought he'd go that far. He threw me around the room like a rag doll. And just like that, another round of PTSD. And I didn't leave. And I didn't even report it to the police, like a lot of women do. I didn't leave yet. I was still more afraid of the unknown, the outside world. Oh, and I cried constantly. All I could do was tell him how much pain I was in. Not physical, emotional, mental. And then another argument. And he assaulted me again. All I could do was pray. I wasn't stepping forward. I was frozen, paralyzed by fear. And then, for the first time in probably 10 years, I went to church. And you can't convince me this wasn't coincidence. And the priest said something I will never forget. Pain is a sign from God that something isn't right in your life. At that moment, I realized I wasn't stepping out into the world alone. Just like the poem Footprints in the Sand, I knew God would carry me. And that was it. I left that day. Despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, and despite the doubt. I did not know what was coming next, but I knew it had to be better than this. I was finally living alone for the first time in decades. And while it felt like freedom, my PTSD was through the roof. After all, the last time I lived alone, I was attacked. I had nowhere to go back because my ex-husband attacked me too. The saddest part, I started seeing my husband in the same category as my attacker. That realization just broke me. Such a disappointment. I think I had convinced myself he was in my corner. Kind of a self-preservation. I think I needed somebody in my corner. But fear was still in control. So I chose comfort again, not courage. I opened a business in what I knew, but hated, the food industry. It's what I did growing up. My parents owned the stereotypical Italian restaurant. It's what we did in our marriage. But I hated it. That's why I went to school. I didn't want to do that. And now I was trapped again, running a business I couldn't stand, living in fear, getting divorced, battling PTSD. My stress level was off the charts. I ate clean, I worked out, I never smoked, never did any drugs. But none of it could protect me from all those years of stress. I became gravely ill. And just like that, I was staring death in the face again. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.